Hello, lovely. Welcome back to Squeaky's Cauldron, or welcome if this is your first time here. I'm your host, Sarah Evergreen. Today's video is a full moon reading for the Aries full moon that's coming up on Friday the 29th. This reading is taken from a spread that is coming out in Moon Pages, which is my weekly newsletter. If you'd like to subscribe to that to get this delivered directly to your inbox, as well as some information about the moon cycle that's coming up and the spread that you can use for yourself, please check out the link in the description below or go to squeakyscauldron.com/moonpages to sign up. For this full moon in Aries spread, the card that really came through to me for the anchor that we use to kind of draw the energy in and focus it was the Nine of Pentacles. Now, the Nine of Pentacles is a card that comes very close to the end of the journey of the Pentacle Pip cards. So that is the Ace through the 10. And when we get close to the end of the journey of anything, it means that we are starting to bring in the loose ends, starting to tie those knots, get everything organized for the actual end. And with the Pentacles being so focused on resources such as food, wealth, environment, this kind of thing, and with the time of year that we are in, as the leaves start to shift, the weather starts to change a little bit, pumpkin spice starts to come out. I got my first pumpkin spice latte this morning. It was not hot enough, but it was delicious. When all of that starts to move, what comes through to me so strongly is a sense of harvest. And the Nine of Pentacle cards is exactly that, a harvest card. We've come through almost all of the journey of like planting and nurturing and patience and a feeling of lack with the 5. We've come all through that, all the way to the 9. And the 9 is when we get to take the fruits and the vegetables, the fruits of our labor, really, that we've invested so much time and energy into. It is time to take those off of the vine and ingest them, bring them into our body, bring them into our experience so that they can then be turned into something new. This card also has some interesting aspects to it. We have a hawk as well as a snail down here at the bottom. And the hawk has this vision of all over everything. Like it flies so high and can see the teeny tiny mouses in the field and then dive and grab them. So it gets this really bird's eye view, which is encompassing so much of the world. And it sees from this great vantage point. And then the snail who crawls along rather slowly, right with its belly literally on the ground. And this too is a unique vantage point. And both of these places are perspectives that we as human beings normally don't see. We see here, we see this plane, what's at eye level, maybe slightly below, maybe slightly above. But when we drop down to our bellies on the ground, or when we rise way up into the sky, we get to see things from a completely different perspective. It is time to reap the harvest, but as you're doing so, allow yourself to take these different positions to look at the harvest that you're bringing in from a new perspective or multiple new perspectives, so that you might be able to see a new way of ingesting and transmuting that energy for something brand new to come out the other side. Not to be that wasn't a poop joke, but now it is. You're welcome. The first question for this spread is, what in my life is ready to be harvested? What is ready to get off of that vine and be turned into something different, whether that's immediate food that you are eating or something that you're preserving and in that way transmuting it into something different, because we all know that a fresh green bean is much different than a pickled green bean, yes? So the card that popped out is the Two of Swords. I love this card. It is a card of a very specific kind of boundary setting. So the figure is crossing over their chest with these two swords, and the swords represent the energy of air, communication, thought forms. The thing is, this figure also has a blindfold over their eyes, and they are sitting with their back to a body of water and to the moon. Both of these things symbolize internality, symbolize the intuition, the emotional landscape, spirituality, the things that are going on inside. And it's particularly emphasized with the blindfold so that they cannot even see the outside world, and with the arms crossed over holding these two swords. So what comes through so much for me with this card is that the energy here is blocking out the external world, blocking out everybody else's thoughts, everybody else's opinions, to go inside and find the truth for yourself, or even just to find quiet. And it's my opinion that truth resides within the quiet, within that peace, within that very still place that you can only access when you push the rest of the world out a bit. So, what is ready to be harvested? Honestly, this card throws me a little in this position, but I think what's coming through is there's a sense that you have prepared the space to do this internal work. In one way or another, you have made a space that is ready to be dropped into, but that you haven't been able to yet. And so this card in this position is calling you to take advantage of that space. It is time to harvest all the preparations that you've done in order to take that sense of dropping in, that quiet, that blocking out the rest of the world. So don't be afraid to do that. Allow yourself to take the time and the physical and mental space to just listen to the quiet inside your head, inside your heart, and the messages that want to come through from that place. And the next question, how can I put this harvest to good use in the coming months? There's no point in harvesting something if you're just going to let it rot in your cellar. So with this space that you're taking, this time to get away from the world, how can that space then be put to good use in the coming months, whether it's whatever comes from that space or the space itself and the practice of moving deeper into yourself? And I got the 9 of Wands. So we have a figure behind a fence of wands holding on to one of the staves, bandaged, a little bit wary. And for me, this card carries with it such a strong invitation to lick your wounds. You've been through something, and I believe this card may have come up in the last tarot reading for the new moon. Whether or not it did, there's that energy of, you've been through some shit, and now it's time again to take some space. This is also a card of taking space and allowing yourself that ability to just process stuff. Sorry, there was a skateboarder outside. So take that space to process things, to allow yourself to heal. And that space of pushing the rest of the world aside, like part of what's going to be healed through that is your creativity and your creative output, which is what the wands, one of the things that they represent so much. And that's what's coming through, is by pushing the world away, you're healing and filling that creative bucket inside of you so that you can go forward after this and, give back to the world and start putting yourself out there more, knowing more clearly what you offer and what you are uniquely here to bring at this moment in time. The next question is, what have I been overlooking that's been ripe and ready for a while? So not every plant gets harvested at the same time. Perhaps there's something that's been on your vine for a while that's been ready, and you just haven't noticed it yet and have gotten into the space of, no, I need to tend this more. I need to give this more time. I need to have more patience. When in actuality, it's ready. You're ready. So it's time to pluck that fruit and get that moving, get that into your system, and get that, again, like transmuted back out of your system. Because the gift, as Amanda Palmer says, must keep moving. The gift must keep moving. If it stagnates, if it stalls within you, it turns to poison. So when you bring something in, you process it, you digest it, and then it has to come back out of you in some way, shape, or form. And the card that comes through here is the Star, which I think is such a beautiful card for this position. What have I been overlooking that's been ripe and ready for a while? The Star, to me, to be very simplistic, is the North Star. What you orient towards, the thing that drives you, the thing that matters most, how you navigate your life, your values, that most important thing. And whatever it is that is for you, whatever this guiding star is for you, the thing that gets you through the darkest nights, the thing that gets you through the aftermath of the Tower card, whatever that is for you is ready. It's ready to be made manifest. It's ready to be brought out into the world and celebrated. So, do that. No small feat, indeed. And the last question, how can I address what I've been neglecting and create nourishment from it? So there's going to be spaces of your life where you don't have the time, the energy, or the awareness to spend, to bring your focus to. And this question is asking, like, where in your life has that been happening at a detriment? Because it's not always important to focus on all of the things all of the time. It's not possible to. And sometimes we get in such a routine of not focusing on certain areas that they do become important and we don't even notice it. So, how can I address what I've been neglecting and create nourishment from it? The Hierophant. Okay, so Kath, if you're watching this, I see you. The Hierophant is a card of exoteric wisdom. So the Hierophant and the High Priestess go hand in hand. The High Priestess navigates and is presiding over esoteric wisdom. That is the inner world, the things that have to be experienced to be known. Whereas the exoteric wisdom of the Hierophant is more about things that are outside of ourselves. So often this refers to organized religions as well as sacred texts, the wisdom that has been externalized, the structures that we utilize around tradition and learning. So remind myself of what has been neglected. How can I address what I've been neglecting and create nourishment from it? This is structure of practice. You have been neglecting some aspect of structure in your practice, and it is time to bring that back in. I watched a video yesterday, I believe, about the necessity of structure, confinement, boundaries, restrictions with creativity. Creativity cannot exist on a completely open, freedom, blank canvas. It is so much easier to create something when we have a boundary around it. It is so much easier to practice magic when we have a boundary around it, when we have a structure to it. And it doesn't have to be like out of this world, crazy, hyper structure. And in fact, it probably shouldn't be. But this is a structure that you are going to recognize for yourself, a structure that is going to work for yourself. Not necessarily a structure that is going to be completely comfortable, especially if you are used to having no structure at all within this area. But instead, the challenge here, the invitation here, is to find some sense of structure that works for you. Maybe it is practicing a spell a week. Maybe it is reading a particular kind of book within a particular kind of time frame. Maybe it's something else completely, meditating every day, doing yoga every day, some combination thereof, drawing a tarot card, subscribing to my newsletter, and doing the tarot readings with me. Whatever it is, I want you to sit for a while, sit in the space of contemplation. Allow yourself to sit in that of the Two of Swords in order to fill up that sense of creativity, that sense of connection that the staves bring, and lick those wounds and heal a bit. And I'm looking for the Star card so that you can bring that orientation more manifest into your world through structure, through creating something regularly, whatever that happens to be. All right, my lovelies, thank you so much for this. Again, to subscribe to the newsletter, check out the link in the description or squeakiescauldron.com/moon pages. Take care of yourselves, and as always, use your voice.